Welcome to the OVW Podcast, the unofficial podcast of Ohio Valley Wrestling. I am Jackman Ochs.
And I am Brian Hines.
Today we're getting to all the action from OVW Rise 1282, emanating live originally from historic Davis Arena on March 7th, 2024. But let's start here, Brian. We always like to catch up with each other. I quit my job. Let's get that out. Let's get that out of the way. Let's get that out of the way. But we had a great weekend at Lexington Comic-Con.
Oh boy, did we! That was something else, and we talked to so many people.
Mm-hmm. You talked to a lot more people than I did.
Well, yeah, I got there a little bit early, and I ended up going on Sunday too. But I'll tell you how Sunday went later. But yeah, we had a great time. We talked to a lot of personalities from the OVW. We talked to people that weren't part of the OVW. No. I know for me, one of the highlights was meeting DJ Lance Rock.
Oh, well, Brian, I'm so glad you mentioned that because it was for me too.
It was awesome.
We've met so many great people through this experience, and we're going to continue hopefully to meet more and more great people through this experience. But you said to me, I've never seen you freak out around a celebrity like that until I met DJ Lance Rock from
No, you're usually pretty stoic, pretty low-key more often than not. But when we walked past the door to go into the celebrity visitor or the celebrity guest room, and you caught a glimpse of him in his...
Hard to mistake.
It's very, very distinct outfit. You freaked out and ran straight toward him, and I was pleasantly surprised because I thought that I was going to be the only one who was freaking out about meeting DJ Lance Rock, and he is the coolest guy on the planet. No two ways about it for me. He awesome. Really was. And I got to say thank you for all of the countless hours I spent with my son watching Yo Gabba Gabba and going to see the live show, the couple tours they did.
And I got to thank him for all the misspent youth that I had playing hooky and getting stoned during the middle of the day watching his TV show. So that was really nice as well.
Stay in school, kids.
Not only did we get to meet DJ Lance Rock, we met a ton of great wrestling guests, a ton of great pop culture guests. We've had a ton of great guests come by here over the last few weeks. We just dropped a wonderful, one of my favorite interviews with Shalance Royale, Shalandra, and PJ Jones Esquire, Patrick. I almost said Peter, but I knew that was fucking wrong.
No, that's not right. It's Patrick.
But Patrick, that was one of my favorite interviews that we've done.
It was one of mine too, and I don't normally sing, but in the middle of that, I realized that I had an opportunity on my hands that I couldn't pass up, and I went for it, and I'm so glad I did because when I went back and listened to it, I laughed just as hard the second time as I did the first time.
This will end up being one of the first all-time. Brian, you had one of the best moments of your on-air microphone experience with her. I had one of the worst, but it's one of the best interviews that we've ever done. If you haven't heard it yet, please, you can find it on our YouTube channel.
And thank you both.
Feed, and thank you both again. I said it that night. I said it last week. I'll say it again. You guys made me better at what I do, and I really, really, really appreciate both of you coming by. I really, really do.
And the same sentiment goes for me as well.
Brian, let's get into some of the OVW headlines from this past week. Not just OVW, but...
Before you move ahead, we do have another interview coming this Thursday.
Yes, we do. And
do we do Thursdays on the feed? Do we do interviews on the feed on Thursdays?
Yes.
Oh, shit, I forgot.
Okay, so this week... I tried to catch up with him last August before we did our first few episodes. As a matter of fact, we were going to try to record our first episode on a Friday, and I told Tyni Brian that I couldn't do it, and he was like, "Well, why is that?" And I was like, "Well, because I'm going to go to a Spot Monkey show, and I want to get a word with Jack Vaughn," which I did. But the audio on that was not usable. So
it was before we knew what we were doing.
Yeah, to be fair, we still don't. But we're a little bit better at knowing what we're not doing or not knowing what we're doing at this point. But next week, the veteran Jack Vaughn is going to be our latest interview. So come check that out. And it was a great interview, and I look forward to it. I learned a lot about how he is, the way he is with TikTok and his sense of humor and stuff. So it was really a cool interview to get a glimpse behind the curtain and into the mind of the veteran Jack Vaughn.
We never know what we're going to get week in and week out when we do these interviews, but it is no matter what we sit down with and what they want to bring to the table, we always end up having a ton of fun. But we're always a little shocked, depending on what version of a guest that we get. And Jack Vaughn was up in the air as much as anybody else was. Which version of this guy are we going to get? And I think that you guys will agree with us once you listen to the interview. We got a great version of Jack Vaughn that day.
We most definitely did.
Tyni, Brian, you and senior producer Vic have started you got a thing going on in this feed, right?
We do on Wednesdays now. Hopefully on Wednesdays, that is the plan. We will be releasing our review of OVW Overdrive, which is the Tuesday evening show that comes out. That is looks about half of is the matches from the pre-show before OVW Rise, pre-recorded matches, and then half is just this weird fantasy world that Brian Kennison and the other personalities of OVW seem to exist in.
The Stevie verse.
Maybe the Stevie verse is probably
the dancing verse.
The dancing verse. Yeah. So as I explained to Victor, because Victor at one point during our coverage, during our first one that you can hear in the feed, turns to me and is like, "What is going on here? Isn't he married?" I'm like, "Look, this is like an alternate universe where it's like
weird.
Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling. You know, it's deep in the kayfabe.
I love it.
Just roll with it. So that's fun to review. And yes, we will spend 15, 20 minutes a week reviewing that program separately from this, just because you guys are busy as it is.
And then, so you guys dropped your first episode.
Mm-hmm.
We can expect more episodes from you and Victor in the coming weeks, as consistently and as regularly as you guys can. We are all very busy, like you said. You guys.
Well,
included.
I mean, it'll come out either, if it doesn't come out Wednesday probably come out Wednesday afternoon, given that it doesn't drop in their feed until Tuesday evening.
Fair.
But if it doesn't come out Wednesday, it'll come out Thursday. We're in it now, so we'll be covering every week.
May 2nd. Is OVW Rise from the Kentucky Derby Festival. That's going to be a blast.
We did hear there was some involvement with the Derby Festival before, and now that we know this is what it is, that it's actually a taping of Rise.
That's going to be big. That's kind of, I had touched on that maybe not as concisely as I had hoped that I was touching on it at the time, going back and listening to it. But I seriously think that's such a big opportunity for OVW to tie itself inside of not only one of Louisville's biggest institutions, but one of Kentucky's biggest institutions, one of the biggest institutions in the entire world, the Kentucky Derby. I think that's a great fitting for OVW right there.
It's pretty institutionalized to me.
And then, did you hear Mr. Brian Hines about the Mother Truckers? That is the team of... We know them as Haley and Maria.
Yes, I did.
Did you hear?
Haley and Maria, also known as the Mother Truckers, have won the WOW Tag Team Championship. So congratulations, ladies. And we like to report on all of the success OVW stars have in other promotions. So if you are an OVW star and you have had success elsewhere, please feel free to reach out to us. And
anywhere.
Anywhere. Getting change for a 20 so you can ride the bus. No. Any kind of small personal success is acceptable. That's fine.
We like to keep up. I'm starting to think of it as the OVW expanded universe. So yeah, if they're going elsewhere, we want to know about it and report on it.
For sure. And that just helps us keep track up with you guys, helps our fans and your fans keep track up with you. It tells them where else to find you guys. Like, we want to make this a more regular part of this section of the show. So, and we can only do it with you guys' help, because there's only so much time that we can spend on the internet, and I'm not on social medias at all. So, and I'm also looking for a job. So the next few weeks of my time are taken up. I also want to say one short thing here, that if you are in the Central Kentucky area, you can catch WOW on Sundays directly after OVW, or directly before OVW at 4 p.m. on Sundays on your local CW. WOW's a great show. It's a lot of fun. Is it always the greatest wrestling in the world? No. Is it always some of the most fun wrestling in the world? Yes. If you haven't watched WOW, give it a shot.
Well, and
you can see Maria and Haley there as well.
And we actually saw them start this relationship with WOW during the Netflix series.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they took those first promotional shots right out there in the parking lot at Davis Arena for the Mother Truckers team.
Yeah.
I believe they just sort of hijacked somebody's semi, if I remember correctly.
Nobody's telling Maria no.
Yeah,
so
I wouldn't.
No, hell no. Fuck no, I wouldn't tell Maria no. This Saturday, March 16th, is OVW March Mayhem. That is live on pay-per-view emanating from Davis Arena. We will be there. I don't have anything else to do that night, so we will be there, right?
We could go there right now as far as you're concerned.
Yeah, I'll sleep outside. I don't give a shit. It'll be better than where I am sleeping. March 30th in London, Kentucky. Is that still accurate?
Yes.
Nashville, Tennessee, April 26th. I think I will be there in attendance. So if you are there, if you listen to the show, look out for me. I'm the one with the bad haircut. OVW pay-per-view. This is the one we wanted to talk about, right? Mm-hmm. It is no longer. They had originally announced within the past week, right?
That was later on in this episode. Al Snow announced that they were going to do a live pay-per-view in emanating from Pikeville, Kentucky, but that has been moved to August 6th.
Mm-hmm.
August. Yeah, I did get confirmation from Kennison that has been moved to August. I don't have an exact date yet, but I can tell you, for those of you podcast fans who don't know, myself and senior producer Victor both call Pikeville sort of home. We're both from far out in the county, but Pikeville's where we come to get groceries.
That's where your Walmart's
That's
at.
where my where your Walmart is. Your heart will be also. So it's on like this pay-per-view in Pikeville, coming to the Appalachian Wireless Arena. Like, we may have to have a party, an old-fashioned strip job party.
That's fine with me. I actually did want to ask you, just to take a 30-second break here.
Sure.
What is it like having that arena out in Pikeville? Because I'm from Kentucky. Having that arena out in Pikeville was something nobody ever thought was going to come true.
So it's important to note that I have not actually made my home in Pikeville since that arena went up. That said, I have seen a couple of shows there. Most notably, I saw Alice Cooper lose his head there.
Yeah, I saw Alice Cooper.
I think we were there together. I think that was us. Yeah.
That's the only time I've really been to and spent time in Pikeville, which is surprising because all of my roommates in college when I went to Morehead State were from Pikeville, and a lot of the friends that I made there, such as Tyni Bryan and senior producer Victor Anderson, among others.
So yes, now this was always a thing that Jackman they were saying, mm-hmm. like ever since Pikeville famously had we rerouted a river.
Famous for a lot of stuff, but that's one of them.
Did the Pikeville cut through, and as soon as that river, it dried the river out, and it gave us all this flat land around the city that wasn't being used, which is where this arena is. It's in that river, what we call the Riverfield district there in Pikeville. So there've been talk about it ever since that happened, but Pikeville has just been growing by leaps and bounds. I'm so proud of that city and how much it's grown and developed, and I really cannot. I will tell you guys, that I am not much of a drinker or a partier. You guys know that I'm kind of the stuffed shirt of this particular podcast. But I can tell you, when we go to Pikeville for this pay-per-view, I am going to cut all the way loose. This is going to be a fun weekend.
I wanted you to give some context for that, because it is really, really, really great for that area to get that arena, period. Mm-hmm. And then to also get something like an institution like OVW, a national institution, international institution like OVW, just kind of also paying into that idea that OVW is held very, very proper over the last couple of years, where we want to give back to Kentucky because this is where we make our money and this is where our fans are. Getting all the way out there to the border is really important. I think really, really cool, and I'm really glad to see a pay-per-view of all things, not just a live show, not just a Thursday night show, a pay-per-view from all things, from out in way, way eastern Kentucky for our brothers and sisters out there. I'm really, really happy for that.
That's right. Hats off to you, OVW.
We also have Des Plaines, Illinois on May 31st and Longport, Indiana on June 1st. Tickets for any and all of those events and all future events, including your Saturday night pay-per-views, your Thursday night shows, and all of your live shows out and about in the state and in the nation, can be found at OVWTIX.com.
And pay-per-view streams.
Events. Oh, yeah, and you can buy, if you're not lucky enough to make it to Davis Arena or to any of these other satellite locations where they're going to be having pay-per-views in the future, you can find your pay-per-views at OVWTIX.com as well for stream. After this, we will get into all of the action from last Thursday. That is OVW Rise 1282 from March 7th up next.
Hey, folks, Tyni Bryan here for the Bluegrass Homefront podcast. So Victor and I did a thing that's pretty common for us. We took a weird road trip late last week. KSR, for those of you who are in the Venn diagram of both OVW fans and KSR fans, will know they were in the Red River Gorge in a weird crystal cathedral. We went and watched that and spent most of that trip talking about Homefront and who we want to talk to. We're starting to get some ideas about some guests, but also go back and listen. Like, for instance, we had a great interview with Attica Scott, former member of the legislature from Louisville, a great kind of voice for urban Kentucky. And we did it in the middle of the pandemic, so we actually did it standing like in her yard while she was on the her front porch. So we stayed 6 feet away from each other. Meanwhile, there was a very creaky door during the entire conversation. So yeah, go find that at bluegrasshomefront.com and all kinds of other interviews. And we now return you to the OVW podcast as soon as Brian Hines has finished opening his candy.
Hold, please. There, I'm done.
Sorry, I was going to add some more stereo so Malachi can edit that in. First bout of the night here. I'm going to let you take this one, buddy. I'm going to let you...
Gee, thanks.
So I just quit my job and seriously, guys, call me. You can get in touch with Tyni Brian Hines if you guys have any employment opportunities. Doesn't necessarily have to be podcasting or wrestling related, but I'll mow your yard or rake your leaves, whatever. I want you to take care of this because I'm in a good mood. I've had a rough week, and I'm going to spend this entire show not complaining today.
Okay, well, first match of the night starts off with... Ari Alexander, who is going by Guitari, and she is accompanied by Carson Drake and his shorty shorts. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jackman is struggling not to complain.
Or throw up.
Allow me to help you out. Guitari is dumb, and it's made me very sad.
Ari is smart. Guitari as a gimmick. Not that smart. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
It makes me sad that I was so happy to see this happen a couple weeks ago. I will now eat my words, perhaps without having to actually come sit on camera.
Not this time. Crystal, okay, so Guitari takes on the victory here. We saw a newly kind of someone that we don't recognize.
A debut.
Yeah, someone that we don't recognize.
And we didn't quite catch the name. It was G.
Or they did not write it out for me.
They did not. So I wasn't sure if it was G or Chi or...
It was G is how it was said. Like when they announced her as G. I was like, no, GTE, because I'm really old.
This wasn't a bad match. I really don't. This is me not complaining. This wasn't a bad match. I am here to see like Shalance singles, Guitari singles every week for as long as they're doing this thing. This week it was Guitari. I have a feeling next week it'll be Shalance. That's just kind of how OVW sets up stories, right? This thing was a mess, man. This thing was a mess. And we opened up the show with like this kind of like backstage, it ended backstage. We didn't even really necessarily get to see all the action of it end upstage. And then we used that trope later on in the night, which kind of made me forget about what I had seen this early on in the show. There is magic to be made here because everyone, minus Carson Drake, is talented here. And
he's talented. He's just annoying.
And that's a talent all in of itself. There's magic to be made here. We just got to figure it out. Guitari takes home the victory here. Shalance runs out. There's a big Crystal and Katie are chasing each other, Jack Benny style all over the place. It's a mess.
It was Benny Hill.
What did I say, Jack Benny?
Yeah.
He was funnier. He was funnier.
They all have fiddles.
Yeah. Again, actually, Brian, man.
What?
Can you take this next one too?
Okay. After that match and before the next match, we cut to the backstage area, and the Bad Girls Club are primping and getting ready, and they're trading barbs with one another, and then following that is Pushable Will Austin.
That was kind of the one I wanted you to talk about more. I could have talked about the Bad Girls Club.
And he looks, he's wearing a very nice shirt.
He looks great.
With a Paw Patrol toy and Hoda Peso's headshot taped to it. I thought it was a piñata. Because he also had a stick with him.
I think it was very clearly a piñata.
Yes.
It in fact was a piñata because Junta busted it open and
gave,
threw candy to the crowd at the end.
Much like Joe Cooley did at Christmas Chaos.
There's only one way to save a piñata being brought in as an effigy for a young Latin American man, and it is to give candy away at the end of it, and that's all I'll say about it. Next.
All right. Tusks and Chains are going to take on the Overmen tonight, and they say that they will win in a pre-recorded
I told you, I'm not trying to complain tonight. I love you, man. I love you, but these first couple of things that we saw were rough.
You just go ahead and keep complaining. For real. You just go ahead and we'll do it Festivus style. Air your grievances. Just whatever you want to do.
Are we going to wrestle after this?
I'm not. You can
we
wrestle
don't have
yourself.
The
I'm going to wrestle Tiny Brian.
I'm going to wrestle my ass all the way to the house.
Okay. All right.
I am done with today. I am done with today.
Hey, then let's get through it, baby. Let's get through it. Brian Hines, I love you, man. I know you need. I just want you to know that.
I love you too, man. But today is a day.
I can be a lot to deal with.
No,
you worked for 14 hours, and you had to come and deal with this fucking drunk asshole all day. I understand. Up next, we had a vignette from Tusks and Chains basically saying, we're going to take on the Overmen tonight. We're going to win. Great babyface fire there from those two. The best babyface tag team on the entire roster.
As a matter of fact, it's underneath the hoopla from DJ Lance Rock. But when the last time I went to Davis Arena, I was lucky enough to get an autographed photo of the Mammoth Donovan Cecil. And I don't have a frame yet, but I'm going to. So just so you know,
if you're gonna hang him on the set, I've got a frame for him. So I'll put him up. I'll put him on the wall over there.
No, I've got some decorating to do at the house.
Oh, okay.
Second match of the night, 2 women's matches to start off the action here at Davis Arena from OVW Rise 1282. We had Hima with the Bad Girls Club versus Riley Matthews. Really was very much looking forward to seeing this match. 2 of the greatest up-and-coming, most charismatic, most likable rising stars on the entire OVW roster. This kind of delve into darkness that Him has been able to do, and her change of offense and her change of attitude has been great. It's really, really, really given a platform here for Riley Matthews to continue to grow as a babyface, when I think that there was a few weeks where she was wishy-washy week in and week out what she was expected to do, but here, placed in the ring with Hima, she is clearly on the good side of things. Him is clearly on the bad side of things. I mean, she is in the Bad Girls Club.
Well, yeah.
I could watch. I think this might be, of all the things that are kind of coming out of this like Bad Girls Club, like who's gonna fall out with who, and we're having these multi-person matches, and who's gonna get linked up with who in singles programs. Riley Matthews and him was probably the one I wanted to see the most out of all of these, especially now that they are 2 newer people on the roster.
Yeah, if this match was any indication of how a future rivalry between these 2 would go, I'd pay to see that week after week. I mean, this was a great match. It was hard fought. There was no, it wasn't a squash match. Mm-hmm. And there was no steamrolling. Mm-hmm. It was very even. Mm-hmm. The moves, counter moves. It was just great. It was a great match between the 2, and I hope to see more of it, and hopefully they can build a little bit of drama and a little bit of heat and keep this going for a while.
I would love to see more of this. I actually would really, really love to see more of this kind of breathe in and of itself, not so much have like the Bad Girls Club and all of this kind of outside interaction come in, because I do think that these 2 girls could sit and wrestle fucking an hour draw, and I would be as entertained by it as I have been in this little short match that they had here. Seems like we had a couple of, how do they like to say, botched interferences from the Bad Girls Club here.
Yeah,
they were really bad at helping him.
It seems like, we touched on this last week, things are starting, we're not falling apart, But some of the string is starting to come loose at the ends here with the Bad Girls Club.
The frayed ends of sanity.
Yeah, the split ends of sanity, I think, is what it might be in this case. But
Nice.
Tiffany, I think that she's really the outlier here. Like she is who I'm keeping my eyes on when I ask myself the question, what is next with the Bad Girls Club? It seems like throughout her interactions tonight, she was maybe halfway there or wanted to be more than halfway there, but was going back and forth morally with herself. It just seems like there's something going on with Tiffany and the rest of the Bad Girls Club.
Some inner turmoil or conflict or something to that effect.
Something like that. I love slow burns like this where I know what I want to happen, but I do not know what will happen. And that's what's happened with the Bad Girls Club right now. That is a testament to OVW, really, is they're great at slow burns. For as much as I might complain about the way that things happen week to week, I love the slow burn kind of what's going to happen, will they, won't they stuff that OVW is really great at.
Yeah, I love what's happening. I mean, Rerun is awesome. I mean, he can cut a rug like it ain't nobody's business.
So, I do want to say, I'll complain. I'll complain a second.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you watching at home, it's a momentous moment. Jackman is going to complain about something.
All right, so at what fucking point did they realize that they should just record EC3's videos off of a phone and that it would somehow look and sound better than EC3 sending the file to them to play over TV? Because I feel like that's what happened this past week, right?
I don't know. Maybe it was the Human Thumbs idea, Adam Revolver, because he's the one that got the message.
Well, man, we like to bust on Adam Revolver, but if this was his idea, best idea he's had since he chose to team up with Joe Mack and win the...
So, you non-ironically liked this segment?
I think it was an improvement. I don't say I want to like it, but like there is something very, very funny to me just kind of... This seems like a hands up admittance, like, man, these EC3 fucking backstage segments suck. We need to do something. We need to take the route of less suck to try to get to these things to be halfway of like showable on television at all. That's kind of what that segment said to me. Advances the story. I love it. EC3 is a great talker. The Overmen are a great group. We just need to really figure out. Not we.
Yeah,
I don't get paid to do it.
Yeah, if that's what
Something
you're going
needs
to
to
do,
get
figure
figured
out
out.
the most effective way to do it.
Yeah, because whatever's happening right now is clearly not the most effective way.
No, but they're getting there.
They're getting there,
And
that's what we like.
We
yeah.
say that from a place of love.
Where did my stupid ass hat go? Oh wait, we're PG-13.
It fell off your stupid ass head.
I
Okay, I seriously don't see it. I don't know where it is.
I don't know where it is either. Non-title match: Dustin Jackman versus Dustin Jackson versus the OVW Heavyweight Champion Jack Vaughn.
Did we know this Dustin Jackman character?
I'm sorry,
Dustin
Miss
Jackson.
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson.
Ooh.
But I did know him. Yeah, he used to be tag team partners with Cal. We touched on their tag team partnership, their tag team title run when Cal was in studio here. He's been away for a long time, but there was a time period where I would have kind of held him in the same regard as Cal, Luscious, Crixus, some of these other guys in the men's division that all showed up at OVW at the same time. I would have held him in the same breath as I did the rest of those guys, and then he kind of went away. I saw him at a couple of indie events here and there, and now he seems to be back at OVW 3 weeks in a row. No better place to be slotted into upon your return than against the veteran Jack Vaughn here in a non-title match. I think that it's been great to see Justin Jackson the way he's been built over the last couple of weeks. I think he's like the perfect guy for Jack Vaughn. He's a little younger. He's a little smaller. He's got a little more spry in his step. He's a little more believable in this kind of like, oh, I want it, I love it, type of thing. Jack Vaughn seems to be so cynical and so like calloused, and Dustin Jackson can seem to be the opposite of that. I really, really hope that this is the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, have been OVW trying to reintroduce how good and how likable Dustin Jackson is to the OVW faithful, because there might be some people that have forgot about him, and there's a lot of new people in it that have never seen him, period. I love the kid. Love the kid.
Well, they do at the OVW too. But, I mean, to give him that kind of attention where his third week back on TV in a row, he's duking it out with the veteran Jack Vaughn and holding his own for a majority of the match. I mean, that is just a testament to his talent and his skill set.
I will say, okay, I'm going to complain again. I will say, Dustin Jackson, I've seen, when you're in Louisville, I see you wear red. When you're in Central Kentucky, I see you wear blue. Choose it. One way or the other, buddy. Choose it. One way or the other.
Yeah, this is make the right choice.
Yeah, make the right choice, Dustin Jackson.
C-A-T-S.
Cats. Let's go. March Madness, baby. This is the only time you're going to hear me talk openly about UK basketball in here is over the next 3 weeks or over the next week and a half when we fucking lose and I'm get mad about PG-13. Sorry.
I really don't know what to say just now.
Adam Revolver and Shannon the Dude. Jack Vaughn obviously takes home the victory over Dustin Jackson. That's without question. We knew that whenever we saw the bill.
It was a hard-fought effort on part of Dustin Jackman.
He made him look great, man.
Yeah.
He really did. And Jack Vaughn did a lot for Dustin Jackson, too. That's like, I don't want to understate that at all.
No.
Main event, hour one here.
It is Adam Revolver and Shannon the Dude versus Tusks and Chains.
Weird.
Very weird. I think that's the first time I've seen Shannon wrestle on TV.
Oh, God.
At least
since we've been doing
this. At least
this.
in the history of our podcast, yes,
And
I believe that is the first time.
I'm going to be honest, to even name you the last time I saw him do a legit match, I would have to go back 5 to 6 years.
Wait. What about the mixed tag match?
No, I'm talking a legit singles.
Okay.
In a mixed tag, I kind of consider Gaga to a slight degree.
Carry on.
But a legit, 1 versus 1 tag, I want to say I have to go back 5, or a legit 1 versus 1 match. I think I want to go back 5 or 6 years for that. I want to say Tony Vanetti was his last match at one of the Saturday Night Specials, way back in 2018. He retained the title that I want to say I've only seen him defend one other time since then. And guess who beat him that night was Ari Alexander. So, seriously, Shannon doesn't wrestle a ton, has this belt. Nobody wants to see him. He looks like a string bean out there. He gets put in with the Human Thumb, Adam Revolver, against the biggest up-and-coming babyface tag team in the entire company, Dustin Chains.
Yeah, that's right. How do you think that went?
I was there. It didn't go actually the way that I thought it would.
Oh, well, then there you go.
Because I assumed that Overman would win.
Well, they had some help from the Golden Lions. So.
The kind of probably the best kind of help that you can have on the tag division right now, especially when you're talking about the Overmen. Dustin Chains end up winning.
They sure did.
After a lot of shenanigans. The ref gets pulled into the ring into Cecil by Shannon. Shannon ref bumps the into Cecil. The Golden Lions come. Shira messes Shannon the Dude up. They stuff a $100 bill in his mouth. The Lions are all over the place. But Beaches and Cream here at the end of this show up from, I know the name of their bar.
The Beach?
Baxter's?
Boy.
Baxter's is the name of the bar that they work at?
Whether or not that was actually Baxter's or just...
It was Baxter's because you can see it on the mirror.
Yeah, and I know the area when we see them at the end. I know the area very well. It's definitely Baxter's. I kind of love this thing that they did where Mahabali Shira, Cash Flow, the Golden Lions they need Beaches and Cream so bad. They need to get their hands around their neck so bad. They take a camera crew, they hit Bardstown Road, they hit the Highlands, they bring the camera crew all the way down, and we'll see what happens throughout the course of the night.
Yes.
As the Golden Lions are heading toward Find Beaches and Cream at the bar that they hang out at.
Will they find them before the end of this episode? Tune in later to find out.
I guess we'll find out. But I do love this. This is very...
cinematic.
Very cinematic. Very like when Stone Cold and Vince McMahon had the Royal Rumble throughout the whole night. They were all fighting backstage throughout the whole night, and then they came to the ring at the end. Just very much like that. I can complain a lot about the Attitude Era, and I think that some of those complaints are very valid, but I do love stuff like this from the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
It just takes me back, makes me feel warm and fuzzy, and was very, very well done tonight.
Yeah, it was very entertaining television, whether you're a wrestling fan or not.
So what? We're at the top of hour 2 here.
Hour 2.
Notice we have 2 different announced teams for Rise.
Liked that a lot.
Yes. The second hour was Brian Kinnison and Dancing Stevie J. And they kick off hour 2 with mixed tag match, which is not typical for OVW. So it was a welcome change.
I thought
and
this
that
was
Tony Evans and Superior Tony Evans and La Princesa Tiffany Nieves versus OVW Media Champion Cal Hero and Hollywood Haley J.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but some of these other mixed tag matches. Some of these other mixed tag matches that we've seen in OVW have been at the end of an angle or in the middle of an angle to kind of tree branch the angle out.
I didn't realize there was going to be geometry.
This one.
So you just need to back it up, dude.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. As opposed to some of the other mixed tag matches that we've seen in OVW, did this one feel a little, I hate to use the word cold because that sounds like a negative thing, but this one didn't seem like it came out of an angle. It didn't seem like it came out of anything other than we got 2 bad guys, we got 2 good guys, and we need to fill some television time.
I mean, yeah, there was no story leading into this that I can remember off the top of my head. It just literally seems like what you just said. Hey, these 2 folks are bad guys, and these 2 folks are good guys, and they need some screen time, and we'll just do this and see how it goes.
I thought this was a great use of Tiffany.
Mm-hmm. I think seeing Tiffany twice tonight made so much sense. It made Tiffany look great too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she really got to push off of Tony there because she really came out looking like, on top.
Well, and if I without knowing anything, but if I could guess what the similarities between these 2 teams are, it's 2 people you don't like that you're about to like a lot, and Tony Evans and Tiffany Nieves. It's 2 people you like a lot right now that you're about to not like, in Hollywood Haley J and Cal Hero. I think we are so close to turning this kind of generation of baby faces that a lot of this crowd, or a majority of this crowd, some of this crowd was brought into through Netflix. I think it's time to turn these people into babyface or into heels, and there's not going to be anyone that makes people more upset than Hollywood Haley J.
Once she becomes
it's going to be great.
She can do it for sure.
I hope I'm there.
So, and I was getting kind of what do you guys think about the notion of Haley and Cal as kind of if I may date myself, sort of a natural born killers, kind of a
Mickey and Mallory Knox.
Yeah, or Bonnie and Clyde for the older generation, but yeah.
I don't
There's got to be a lot more intensity than that. I mean, if that is what you envision for them, there is going to have to be a lot more nihilistic tendencies, like I am just going to destroy you and I am not going to bat an eye about it. And I don't really feel like
Cal
so maybe
or
not
Haley,
as
murderous.
No.
But the whole loaded potato glove last week bit with Cal, they showed me at least 3 times during the episode this week.
I think that maybe what you're trying to touch on with Mickey and Mallory specifically is this kind of teenage exuberant arrogance and kind of this let's burn the world down just because we can, which is very much what Mickey and Mallory were about. And if you were going to turn Cal and Hollywood either separately or together as a heel, that kind of you used to love us, but now you hate us, no, would grow great with them.
The devil without a cause kind of vibe.
Yes. I think that, that movie can be kind of hard to sit through. It's very violent, but the mentality that Mickey and Mallory were really all about is that devil may care. You can't catch us. We can do whatever we want. We're going to continue to do whatever we want. And I do think that a Hollywood, even though the babyface Hollywood character is already a little like that, Cal becoming that would solidify him, and I think that could be really beautiful.
It could be, but here's something that I feel like we're missing in this conversation, and that is a big element from the movie in regard to Mickey and Mallory.
Rodney Dangerfield?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I wish there were more Rodney Dangerfield on OVW, and, God rest his soul if he were there in their corner and his bug eyes were looking around and talking about no respect and all that. I would definitely appreciate that. But what I was referring to was the sensationalism from mainstream media. Neither one of these two, as it is right now, really. I mean, Holly does more than, or Hollywood Haley does a little bit more than Cal, even though Cal is a very likable guy. Just have that draw to where the media, or I guess in this specific instance, us, is like just hanging on everything they're doing and just can't believe all the things that we see week after week.
Right.
Could it be that way? It absolutely could. Would I love to see it? Bring it. Am I seeing it now? No.
I think for it to happen, Cal needs to go to Haley school. I don't like. Really
that's the
like.
Haley is the way. Kind of the bad
Haley
influence.
is the way to do this. Yes.
Yeah, Haley is the way to make him a heel. Like, do it to impress her. Like, that's the notion. Is she's the bad girl, so to speak.
Well, and she clearly would have no time for this little milk chugging guy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, but he wears a leather jacket and a dangly cross earring. Man, maybe
he's going to be George Michael.
Maybe
in
just
1989.
maybe, if we have some faith.
Faith.
Cal Hero can be a heel.
Well, then
I just think that's where we're going, man.
That just depends on freedom, artistic freedom.
Freedom 89 or 91.
I won't let you down.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe in the middle of this, if there is a heel turn, there will also be a father figure.
I think Cal really needs a father figure. Yeah. Shit, you beat that one to me. Wake me up. Wake me up.
Jinx, you got to buy me a Coke.
I'll take the next one. The team of OVW Media Champion Cal Hero and Hollywood Haley J win the match against Tiffany Nieves and Tony Evans. Hollywood Haley J gets the pin, and I'll take the next one.
Jitterbug.
That's not even one of their songs. That's just how that song starts.
Shut up.
You put the boom boom into my heart.
And pass.
Al Snow appears, talks about a slew of upcoming regular events. We'd already touched on one of these regular events, or these upcoming events, earlier in our news flash. He did mention that there would be the Appalachian Wireless Center in Pikeville. That's been moved. As we mentioned, you can go back and find this in this feed, and you can probably find at this point official announcement from OVW on more information about when and where that's been moved to.
Whereas our announcement is unofficial.
Always. Yes. The only thing official about this is our boy George references.
Yeah.
And
wait,
that was George Michael.
George Michael.
Making that mistake, do you really want to hurt me?
Do you really want to make me cry?
I grew up in 1991.
Karma Chameleon.
Media was not very nice to British singers of that orientation, so I'm sorry that I got them confused. I know the difference. I'm sorry. Malachi, edit this out.
No.
May 2nd, live from Kentucky Derby. We mentioned that. And then March 30th in London. We mentioned that as well. That's what Al came on to say this past week, right? But that Pikeville show has been moved to August.
Yes.
Right.
I'm really sorry. I like George Michael. I don't even like Boy George. I killed George Michael. That's a fun fact. My band covered Last Christmas the day before George Michael died. We killed George Michael.
Wow.
You're causing people to lose Whamageddon.
We killed George Michael. We also killed the
Radio
Pacific
Star?
Access Pipeline. That was a fun thing too that we did. We did a benefit for that, and they canceled it like the next day. And then I think they started it again, so we didn't really win that one. But we definitely killed George Michael.
Wow.
Main event of the night.
Okay.
Main event of the night.
That is OVW Heavyweight Championship #1 contender match between Certified Luke Curtis and Shotgun Tony Gunn. And just
Heck of a match, man.
Yeah.
Said this last week. I really wanted to see more time limit draws, double countouts, like these weird stipulation endings that aren't necessarily stipulation endings. They just leave the two competitors no better or no worse than when they entered the ring.
A cliffhanger.
Yes. Yeah. And what a great week for it between two of the best competitors. Like, I was really nervous. About who I thought was going to end up winning this match because I didn't know who deserved it. I didn't know where the story would go between the winner. And to be honest with you, I was really glad that it ended a double countout. this is what you have to do with these two guys right here at the spot that they're at to keep them both hot. And I think it was a perfect time to do it.
I would like to say that I pretty much called this stipulation. The only thing I got wrong is that Spectacular's not involved because he has disappeared off the face of the planet.
I haven't seen him in a while. They must have run out. He must not be able to afford him yet. He's I feel like he is one of those guys like, and this is a good thing. I think that maybe Hollywood's kind of run into this to a certain extent. I don't know. I don't know anything about money or anything, but the more money that's in OVW, the less you're going to see some of these big name guys because they're worth more money the more money OVW is worth. And I think that that's kind of why we don't see Hollywood every week. I think that's kind of why we don't see Jesse every week. Not only that, it's a hard job to land on your back. Give these people a few weeks off. Let them go ply their craft. I know that Hollywood Haley J does that all over God's green earth. Like, I just have a feeling that maybe in Spectacular's situation,
he's off doing Hollywood stuff.
We maybe can't afford him. When's the last time we saw him? When he saved Luke Curtis? Right?
I don't know.
That one, no, the match against the Masked Men at the Tough Love. The unsanctioned match.
Oh yeah.
The unsanctioned match.
Yeah, so there's that. Let's see. We get a neat promo from EC3.
With the end of EC3 comes out. He's taunting these guys.
He's reaching you from his local library.
It
looks like the kids section.
He definitely wants you to believe it's his library.
Are you there, God? It's me, EC3.
Jack Vaughn is the one who comes out and makes this botched
attempt at interference.
Yes, right.
And the result of that is now there is a tag team match between Certified and Tony Gunn versus the veteran Jack Vaughn and EC3, and the stipulations are.
Tell me.
I don't remember.
If EC3 is pinned, the national goes to whoever pins him.
That's right. And if Jack Vaughn is pinned, the OVW heavyweight title goes to the winner, whoever pins him.
I knew we had some weird cross-promotional stipulation here. I wasn't exactly sure what the stipulation was.
I don't think this involves the NWA title at all.
Well, he's the NWA holder, so he's still, on contract from this other place. But how do you think that the team of Luke Curtis and Tony Gunn get along?
I can't recall during the course of our podcast having seen them as a tag team.
Me neither.
But I mean, they're both professionals. They're both very well skilled. And if there's gold on the line, I'm sure that they will find a way to put their differences aside and try to take home the victory.
See, that's what I'm afraid of. Is I think that they will work perfectly as a team because they are so professional and they are so good. I think they will work perfectly as a team until they can't, because they are both so much involved in this OVW scene, so much involved in the championship scene in OVW. I would love to believe that these two guys could set aside their differences for an entire match. I hesitate to know if they could. Having said that, Jack Vaughn and EC3 are both slimy and dirty. I don't think that they need to set aside differences because they ain't that different.
No.
I think if I was Jack Vaughn and EC3, I would let the team of Luke Curtis and Tony Gunn self-destruct.
Well, I mean,
but
I can't imagine.
Give them enough rope.
I think 50-50 shot. The two big egos of EC3 and Jack Vaughn aren't going to be able to coexist either.
That's a very good point, being that Jack Vaughn already said last week, you might as well come up here and stand beside me, EC3, because if you're standing behind me, you're going to stab me in the back.
It's true. That's a great line.
And then EC3 said, I'll stab you in the front, too.
Yeah.
Well, and these are two guys, I'm not supposed to be ready for, bad guy versus bad guy stuff. Man, I'd watch this. It is thick between those two guys. The heat is thick between EC3 and Jack Vaughn.
It's like at the end of the summer when it's 140 degrees outside and the humidity's up around 90 something.
Or in the middle
kind of thick.
Or in the middle of May if you're in Atlanta and everything is just 120 degrees for some reason.
Well, that too.
No, we have a lot to look forward to, not only at the pay-per-view, but this week and then in the coming weeks between EC3, Jack Vaughn, Luke Curtis, and Tony Gunn, because we're not out of the woods yet on these guys at all.
Oh, so, not even close.
Do we really think that Luke or Tony are going to actually want to tag the other, knowing that if you tag in your partner, they could win a belt and you could lose out on your chance to get a belt.
That's
every
an
time
interesting.
you tag.
That's an interesting angle, and you're right. I'm sure that we will definitely see that play out in the ring between the two, because, like you said, whoever's in the ring, if they happen to get the pinning opportunity and they're successful, then that gold's going home with them.
Yeah, this ain't a real tag match. This is.
It's like a loose kind of fatal four-way kind of thing, where these two kind of have to work together and these two kind of have to work together.
What I would like to see is Tony Gunn, the most trusted guy in the OVW locker room, short of Cash Flow, who is dealing with his own problems that we'll cover in a second. Tony Gunn's the most trusted guy in the entire OVW locker room, outwardly facing to the OVW faithful. I would really, really, really like to see Tony Gunn take a moment to give Luke Curtis a little bit of a recognition. Like, hey, now you're on our side. Now, hey, viewers of OVW, hey, OVW faithful, hey, Davis Arena, you can like this guy too. And I think it can be as simple as that tag. I really do. And that's what I would like to see. I would really like to see the egos fall apart on the other team. I think that would be a lot more entertaining. And I think it would mean so much for Luke Curtis to get that tag at a crucial moment from Tony Gunn, just so that there's anybody else that's watching OVW, anybody else in Davis Arena that didn't think that Luke Curtis was worth the time and day. You can literally see the physical time of day being handed to him from Tony Gunn.
Well, and I think on the other side, in the other corner, Vaughn and EC3 are going to try real hard to continuously tag out.
Yeah, well, that's smart, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just the heel move.
They're two smart guys. Yeah, you can't get, if one guy's got your number, you can't get too tuckered out. So you got to tag in the other guy, and he can handle him.
So, yeah, it's going to be an Iron Man versus a constantly fresh guy. That's what it seems like this is going to be for me.
I think that this is going to be, I'm a singles guy, like, through and through. My favorite matches of all time are all singles matches. I think that this is going to end up being like sleeper hit of the whole night whenever it happens. Like, I think that this is just going to be high drama, high risk, high reward, tons of story. Luke Curtis, Tony Gunn, Jack Vaughn, EC3, four of the best guys you have. I can't wait. I think it's going to be great. No matter what happens. I told you what I think would happen. We told each other what we think would happen. I don't know what's going to happen. But I think that this is, for me, and I don't usually say this about tag matches, this is going to be like high drama right here. This is going to be all 7 Academy Awards it was nominated for, Oppenheimer Best Picture type shit right here. Like, it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm excited.
Okay.
Speaking of cinema.
So they actually, so as soon as Al comes out and makes that weird stipulation, they go immediately to the Gladiator Sports Network logo, and then we don't leave.
Yeah, we find out that the Golden Lions are coming after Beaches and Cream, and they catch up to them at the bar.
At Baxter's.
And it was a really funny segment. I mean, it was good in terms of storytelling, but that moment where they all stop and they all look at the girl and then they all have this big laugh together and then they go back to fighting.
Yeah, that was great.
They dredged her, and she screams.
It was really funny.
Yeah,
shout out to her. Whoever, hopefully she's a wrestler, but we'll get to see more of her on TV because, like, she played that part perfectly. If wrestling's just about opportunity, then she nailed that one. Like,
perfect comedic timing with all of this, to be sure.
I want to go back and watch it again.
I do want to say, we know this, and World Star Hip Hop knows this. You don't want Armar at a fight at Baxter's.
No.
But Mahabali Shira and Cashflow took the fight to Baxter's, to Omar Amir, and it turned out well for them this time.
Well, until it didn't. I mean, they ended up with laying at Beaches and Cream's feet at the end of this.
Yeah, and
I think there were some bottles involved.
I'm saying you don't want Omar in a fight at Baxter's.
No.
You're going to lose every single time.
Yep.
Ooh, maybe they'll have a cinematic match at the pay-per-view, a Baxter's bar brawl.
Oh.
Just do a full cinematic match for the pay-per-view.
That'd be pretty cool.
Can they afford destroying such a nice bar?
It's a good... Maybe Baxter's is about to renovate.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, no. See, now we're talking. Do you think Vic can pay some renovations for Baxter's? We'll see. Maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves. The OVW Baxter's bar. unofficial bar of OVW.
Yeah.
The OVW Podcast, the 10th annual Carney Award-nominated unofficial podcast of Ohio Valley Wrestling, is produced by Blacklight Moon Productions at Nut House Studios in Lexington, Kentucky. The OVW Podcast broadcast team is me, Jackman Ochs, and Daddy Brian Hines.
Holla.
Our studio engineer and editor is Malachi P.S. Woodard. Executive producer,
yes. That's me.
You want me to finish this off?
Go for it.
Executive producer is Tyni Brian K. Woodard. Senior producer for the Blimp is Victor Anderson.
This is non-alcoholic.
After watching wrestlers on Netflix, visit ovwpodcast.com/podcasters to find all episodes of our unofficial Wrestlers After Show. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, rate us 5 stars, and give us a review. You can also follow us at OVW Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and all the way to Davis Arena. If you are of the persuasion to celebrate, happy St. Patrick's Day. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Wherever you go, there you are.
Love you guys.